Knowles on the News. Susan Knowles.
Well, thankfully, the first Democratic debate is over and done with. I don't know about you, but I couldn't have watched one more second of that debate. But what was going on while we were watching that debate? What really hasn't been talked about very much in the news? It's kind of like, every time there's a debate or something like that in the news, we need to look and see what we're being distracted away from. And in this case, which I didn't see really very much talk about it in the news at all, police raid an abortionist's home, and they find 14 plastic containers of aborted babies in his car. Well, no big deal. No reason to make the national news, right? We have a person who is in Michigan and under investigation for allegedly conducting abortions, either in his home or in the homes of the women that he performed abortions on. During the raid of his upscale West Bloomfield, Michigan home, they found what they believe to be 14 containers that possibly contain the bodies of aborted babies along with other human tissue. The trunk of his car also contained medical equipment used for abortion procedures. I wonder what he could have been doing. And they also found a drug used for pain and sedation that was in his car. This reminds me of years ago, before abortion was legal, when they used to have these backroom abortions. I mean, this guy doesn't sound much better. But again, these are only allegations at this point. Now, how did all this come about? Well, it started 2 weeks ago when this doctor, who loves children, I'm sure, was driving on 14 Mile. I guess that's the name of the street there, or freeway or something, in Michigan there. And he hit a special needs child who was critically injured. I guess kind of ironic, that an abortionist runs over a special needs child. But anyway, they said the doctor was not under the influence, and he obtained a lawyer right away. His car was impounded, and the accident was still under investigation. And based upon all that information, they executed a search warrant to obtain the black box data recorder from the car. And while inside the trunk, they found plastic containers and medical equipment. Now, I'm not sure what the black box data recorder is in a car. Seems odd. I know what it is in an airplane, but they don't describe here what that is. And, wow, surprisingly, the sources say that containers were not labeled and no medical records were in the car. You would expect him to have medical records, right? If he's performing abortions, if he's an abortionist, where are the medical records? Well, he's not going to have medical records in his car if he's doing illegal abortions. And it seems like the doctor has other issues as well. He was a request for an eviction from his office. Seems like he wasn't maybe paying his lease. And it seems that in early 2014, he was evicted from his longtime office. It sounds like maybe he needs to move around a lot. That would be my guess. Now, a person by the name of Monica Miller from the Citizens for a Pro-Life Society talked about the investigation and said, "This is just another sad, sorry story that exposes the dark world of the abortion practice and helps the public see the dark world. On top of the scandal of Planned Parenthood selling the body parts of aborted babies, and now this. We see the unscrupulous nature of the abortion practitioner, a nature forged in disrespect for life." And then, of course, we have Hillary Clinton last night who said, when people say that, it's always Republicans or their sympathizers who say, you can't have paid leave, you can't provide health care. They don't mind having big government to interfere with the woman's right to choose and to try to take down Planned Parenthood. They're fine with big government when it comes to that. I'm sick of it. So she's really sick of it, of you interfering with the rights of women to have an abortion. But when she describes big government, it's the big government who's paying for people like Planned Parenthood to do what they do. We are continuing to be told over and over that women want to have abortions and they demand it, and there's no other way, there's no other solution. And they would have you believe that abortions are up when in fact we know that abortions are really down. and women are choosing to have other forms of birth control rather than choosing an abortion. But you're never going to hear that from the mainstream media because they want to continue to push the lie that that's what women want. And yes, some women do want abortions, but other women are choosing to either have the baby or to put the baby up for adoption. You know, there are more choices than just one choice. And in California, what they've done recently is trying to require, and it is signed into law already. Jerry Brown, he's really fast about doing the wrong thing, but he signed into law a bill that says basically that if you are a clinic, like a birth clinic, where women can come and they can talk to you about other things that you can choose besides abortion, then you're required to tell them that they can have an abortion and perhaps even where the abortion clinics are. Now, I know that lawyers in California have filed a lawsuit trying to get that reversed. And hopefully they're going to be able to do that, because I think when women actually are able to see an ultrasound like they are in some of these birth centers, then they totally change their minds. They're no longer looking at something as a pound of flesh. They're looking at it as a life, especially after, I think it's 21 days, you can see a heartbeat. And so women are seeing that on ultrasounds and saying, wait a minute, nobody said this was a living, breathing, developing human being. So keep up the good fight. Keep praying. Go out if you have to in front of these abortion clinics and pray. Be there legally, quietly, but pray for them to cease to exist. Till next time, this is Susan Knowles for Knowles on the News.